Good morning, students. Today we will be doing the poem The Forsaken Merman written by Matthew Arnold. So, before we start with the poem, let us look at the life history of Matthew Arnold. Matthew Arnold was born in the year 1822, and since his father was a headmaster of the rugby school, Matthew Arnold grew up in an atmosphere of serious learning and was admitted in Balliol College, Oxford in 1841. He distinguished himself there by winning several prizes in poetry and knowledge of the classics. Matthew Arnold belonged to the group of the reflective and intellectual poets of the Victorian era. His well-known works are Sohrab and Rustum, The Scholar Gypsy, Tircis, Rugby Chapel, Dover Beach, and The Forsaken Merman. And Matthew Arnold died in the year 1888. So let us start with the poem The Forsaken Merman. The Forsaken Merman tells the story of a merman, that is a male version of a mermaid. I think you have seen in movies or in your books how a merman looks like. It is half fish and half merman. There are 143 lines in this poem. So let us look at the story. Margaret the human had married the merman, had lived happily with him for many years beneath the sea, and had borne his children. Margaret's existence was a happy one in this enchanting world, where the winds are all asleep, where the spanlights quiver and gleam, where the sea snakes coil and twine, where the great whales come sailing by, and where she shared the merman's throne in his palace under the sea. So here we see Margaret lived a happy life. Then one day during Easter, she heard the sound of the church bells tolling from the world above, awakened her sense of religious duty as she said, "I must go, for my kinsmen pray in the little grey church on the shore today." She felt it imperative to go. Will be Easter time in the world, ah me, and I lose my poor soul, merman here with you. Thee means you. The merman granted her wish to go to the village, assuming that she was going only for a brief visit. I said, "Go up, dear heart, to the waves, say the prayer, and come back to the kind sea saves." But what happened? So Margaret got the permission from her husband, and she went to the church to pray to God. And this happened during Easter time. This is the situation as the poem opens. Exactly how much time has elapsed since Margaret's departure is unclear. The merman repeats the refrain, "Children dear, was it yesterday?" as he leads them to the village, through the narrow paved streets where all was still, to the church in which they see her at prayer. The merman makes his play. Margaret hissed, "Come quick, we are here," but she gave me never a look, for her eyes were sealed to the holy book. So here we see that Margaret did not return back, though her husband and her children kept on calling her, but then she left behind. She did not say anything. Then later, what happened? The father and children then see her in her house, where she is at her spinning wheel singing. So they met Margaret, and they found out that she sang a song, "O joy, for the humming street and the child with its toy, for the priest and the bell and the holy well." She at first appears content. It means that her family thought that she will return back, but they observe her drop her work. It means that Margaret did not want to return back to her family, and her husband and her children noticed that. They knew that she will not return back to her family anymore. Before leaving the land, the merman urges the children to call her for one last time. In these lines, call her once and come away, but ultimately they are unsuccessful. The merman contemplates the future for Margaret. We see here that Margaret did not return back. These lines, she will start from a slumber when gusts shake the door. She will hear the winds howling, will hear the waves roar, as the sound of nature deny her sleep. Meanwhile, he and the children will be in their home, beneath the waves singing, "Here came a mortal, but faithless was she, and alone dwell forever the King of the sea." He tells the children that from time to time, we will gaze from the sandhills. So here we see that how her husband and their children, they will keep on calling her. They will sing songs where they will wait for her patiently to return back. So here we see that these lines, we will gaze from the sandhills at the white sleeping town, at the church on the hillside, and then come back down. But then, even though they have tried their best, but Margaret did not return anymore. So just to recall, student, the Forsaken Merman tells the story of a merman and his human wife who live beneath the seas. The two have born children and seem happy. The merman is grieving because his wife has left and not returned. In the first stanza, he calls to his children to return to the sea with him. In the second stanza, he tells them to call out too. But all in vain. Margaret probably ignores her children because, listen carefully students, because they are a tie to a life that she has decided to leave behind. The merman tells his children to call to their mother so that she will come home again. In the fantasy poem The Forsaken Merman by Matthew Arnold, the speaker or narrator is the merman of the title. So here, according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, a merman is a fabled marine creature. The question that arises here, why did Margaret did not return back to her family? Firstly, you should remember that Margaret is fully human being, unlike her husband and her children. They are half fish and half human being. So Margaret also, she chose to worship God freely because she knew that when she returned back to sea, her husband and her children will not allow her to come back and worship God. That's why she had to make a decision to whom she will choose, and she chose God. Hope you are clear, students. So I will stop here for today. Thank you and have a nice day.